I said in the original video to this that we've never been taught how to think. Um, it was a video in which I was talking about the lack of critical recognition, the lack of understanding how the thinking apparatus works as is. Um, so you learn about the biases, you learn about how even the good instincts function, how we imitate rationality, how unreliable it is, blah blah blah, why it's unreliable, blah blah blah. So that would be teaching critical recognition, which would be the first step to properly teaching people how to think. Currently, we sort of teach at the college level some elements of critical reflection, critical research, the other two components of the critical thinking trifecta. But without critical recognition, they don't mean as much as they would. Not nearly. Anyway, so just an example to give us some perspective. Um, in math class, we are told from a very young age, check your work. And we see the benefits of it in primary school. We see the times where we made mistakes in our math, and it was worth correcting it. Or in English class, we're taught to proofread. Checking it. It was worth checking it. In English class, we're taught to proofread. We're not taught anything like that for our thinking, for our political, philosophical, moral thinking. In fact, not only are we not taught anything, there is nothing yet to teach. With proofreading, it's easy. You write the words down, and then you look at the words, and you see if you had a typo. For checking your math, you write your work down, and then you take your answer, you plug it back in, and you can check the steps to see whether. Well, I guess if your answer's wrong, you can then go check the steps. We have no notation system really for our beliefs, sort of, but nothing that the general public is exposed to. We do have, of course, in logic and philosophy, arguments. So you can construct an argument, you can try to use symbolic logic, and those are really good things that we should be teaching people so that people at least have a way that they could check their thoughts. But anyway, the point is that we're a long way from that point, and that's also not what our focus should be on anyway right now. Checking your thoughts would be a critical reflection technique. Right now, I'm just working on trying to figure out how to explain the thoughts that we have now, how to talk about them. And then the next thing will be to come up with do it maps, which are kind of like arguments, basically a map of sort of the thought processes that we speculate happen to arrive at a conclusion. Then we can work on how do you evaluate those maps, or make adjustments? How do you check those maps? But none of that's going to happen if people believe that they're just rational souls and there's nothing to unpack in their thinking and in their errors. I think that's all I wanted to say. Yeah. And sometimes people get ahead of themselves. They talk about, you got to think about your thinking. We don't have a way to do that yet. I mean, we can muse about our musings, but we don't really have a way to evaluate our own thoughts. Part of that is going to involve some kind of written form. Second, certain rules, guides to compare, certain standardization of sort of how it should look and what it should be, and ways to test it, to go, this it goes to that it, makes me think this, but that's not a justified jump there. Just like we do with formal logic and with it maps. With arguments.